So, my friends, let's dive right into the situation in the Avdiivka, because it's incredibly complex. Occupiers, realizing that the Ukrainian armed forces have been defeating them and suffering significant losses in tanks and personnel, are resorting to scorched-earth tactics. The shelling continues unabated. Yesterday, a huge fire broke out near the coking plant, and casualties occurred within Avdiivka due to the shelling. In addition to the shelling, fierce assaults on Ukrainian positions persist. The occupiers aren't just haphazardly advancing, as seen in other directions. Here, they are practically moving in a straight line from Pervomaysk to Avdiivka. A significant number of attacks are noted over a distance of 12 kilometers. At the same time, they managed to break through to Tanenki, extending about 4.5 kilometers into Ukrainian territory. Furthermore, attacks are being launched towards the coking plant. In this manner, the occupiers are trying to minimize the distance between two front lines and intend to cut off the route of Avdiivka to force the Ukrainian armed forces to withdraw from the city. So today the Russians report that they have broken through to Berdichi, but this information isn't confirmed. However, if they manage to establish themselves near Tanenki, even in such a condition, the distance to Avdiivka will be 6 kilometers, which they can use to advance. Although the occupiers will be able to fire upon this territory, the Ukrainian armed forces have decided to ultimately humiliate the Russian army and destroy all their equipment and disorganize the Stormzy units, so they are eliminating them completely. There are plenty of video confirmations of my statements on the internet, but I can't show them due to YouTube rules. The Russians understand that it's too early to celebrate, and soon the Ukrainian armed forces will deliver a powerful response.
Avdiivka is under fire from our troops. A view of Avdiivka from the side of Donetsk, where our forces have taken the initiative. Since yesterday, our aviation and artillery have been practically continuously firing at enemy positions. Moreover, as one of the artillery division commanders informed us, great attention is paid to counter-battery warfare, which is excellent. There are also reports of minor advancements from the field. It's too early to play victory marches, but according to one of the tank crew members, unexpectedly even for themselves, the advanced groups of assault troops have almost completed the task set for the tank platoon. Most likely, this is the result of the element of surprise, and very soon the enemy will regain its composure and start offering serious resistance.
Before we continue, I kindly ask you to share this video on social media and watch it till the end, as it greatly helps promote my channel. Thank you. In the video, you can see a column of Russian military vehicles advancing, and Ukrainian artillery is targeting this equipment. Meanwhile, the southern front lines continue to be active, with these attacks preventing our units from redirecting their forces to support the area around Avdiivka. The intensity of the attacks in this region is high, aimed at keeping our forces tied down. In the Bakhmut direction, it's also quite challenging. The Russians are not sparing the use of phosphorus shells and are causing significant destruction. The battles continue here, but the Ukrainian forces are trying to expand beyond the railway. Today, we can observe offensive actions taking place in the Klishchiivka area, which is already in the occupied territory. At the same time, the occupiers are trying to break through to their former positions through counterattacks. A similar situation can be seen in Avdiivka, where the Ukrainian armed forces are attempting to move beyond the railway, but the occupiers are doing everything in their power to prevent their advance. It seems that encircling Bakhmut is nearly impossible. The Russians are committing a significant number of forces and they seem inexhaustible, but they are unable to progress further because the Ukrainian armed forces are effectively holding their defense and the front line remains unchanged. In the Luhansk direction, the battles also persist. In the area of Rivne, the occupiers initiated a long anticipated offensive, but the Ukrainian armed forces were prepared for it, and it's evident that the Russians are unable to break through. All their successes are tactical at best, and there are no significant changes along the front line. Nonetheless, The fighting continues near Makivka and Dibrova, accompanied by shelling along their front line. In the Svatove direction, is currently in a state of waiting, with no activity observed. The Ukrainian Armed Forces are not launching any offensives here, and the front line remains unchanged. In the Kupiansk direction, it's necessary to repel Russian attacks. It feels like we have gone back a year, and as before, the occupiers are advancing on all fronts. However, it's noticeable today that they have a shortage of ammunition, and although they continue shelling, they are trying to be more precise. The offensive actions as before are taking place in the Sinkivka area. Here, the occupiers who cannot directly capture the village or bypass it continue to carry out attacks and shelling, but they are not making any progress. The Ukrainian Armed Forces are successfully holding their defense. On the other hand, near Yagidne, the Ukrainian Armed Forces are making progress and gradually pushing the Russians onto the gray zone from Ivanivsk. Fierce battles have taken place near these villages in recent days. However, it's still too early to talk about victory, as all attacks are just beginning and Russia has clearly allocated significant resources for this autumn offensive. In the Vuhledar direction, the Russian command has decided to launch an offensive with all their forces, directing attacks towards Zolota Niva. The Russians are trying to pull the front line between the complex areas of the front, which include Velika Novosilka and Vuhledar. They want to advance across the fields to further use artillery on populated areas. However, the Ukrainian Armed Forces understand the danger of such Russian actions and are doing everything to prevent their advances. Battles are also ongoing near Vuhledar, and it seems that the Ukrainian Armed Forces are turning the Russian attacks into counterattacks and pushing them back. We are waiting to see how the battle in this area will conclude. In the Zaporizhia direction, the counteroffensive is ongoing in the vicinity of the village of Rivne. There have been no significant advances by the Ukrainian Armed Forces so far, only tactical successes. Consequently, the front line remains unchanged. However, the occupiers are displaying significant activity in this area, with several units attacking from the flanks to prevent the Ukrainian Armed Forces from advancing further. It appears that they are partially successful in this regard, which has led to the suspension of the advance towards Tokmak. In the Kherson direction, there are ongoing shelling activities and there have been no movements detected along the front line, so the situation remains unchanged. Meanwhile, there is significant preparation underway for a large-scale operation involving Israeli reservists to storm the Gaza territory. It's expected to be an impressive operation. As we understand it, Israel is facing this threat of war on 5 fronts, with Hamas, Lebanon, Syria, Iran, and Palestinian militants on the west bank of the Jordan River. It's reported that Iran has already demonstrated their ability to initiate warfare on multiple fronts. However, Israel has had historical experience with fighting on 5 fronts simultaneously. Additionally, President Biden has made an important statement regarding the situation in Israel.
In this moment, we must be crystal clear. We stand with Israel. We stand with Israel. And we will make sure Israel has what it needs to take care of its citizens, defend itself, and respond to this attack. There's no justification for terrorism. There's no excuse. Hamas does not stand for the Palestinian people's right to dignity and self-determination. Its stated purpose is the annihilation of the state of Israel and the murder of Jewish people. They use Palestinian civilians as human shields. Hamas offers nothing but terror and bloodshed with no regard to who pays the price. The loss of innocent life is heartbreaking. Like every nation in the world, Israel has the right to respond, indeed has a duty to respond. to these vicious attacks. I just got off the phone with a third call with Prime Minister Netanyahu, and I told him the United States experience and Israel experience, and our response would be swift, decisive, and overwhelming. We also discussed how democracies like Israel and the United States are stronger and more secure when we act according to the rule of law. Terrorists purposely target civilians, kill them. We uphold the laws of war, the law of war. It matters. There's a difference. Today, Americans across the country are praying for all those families that have been ripped apart.
That's all from me. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell to stay updated on all the latest news. Thank you for watching and see you next time. Bye bye.